Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It is Sunday, it's January 5th. I'm still in last year mode, 2025, and today's topic, I'm going to call it art dissatisfaction, but it sounds like artist. So yeah, art dissatisfaction, and it might be kind of a weird sounding topic, but I think if you do art, then you can probably relate, and it's definitely something that is kind of there most of the time for me. But before we begin, welcome back if you are returning, and welcome if you are new. I sketch and post every day, and I set timers to stay focused and to build a sketching habit. So I'll set a 10-minute timer, so you can just use these videos as a timer. I usually do 2 or 3 of them. Or you can also use it as just like to get ideas or to have something to sketch along with. Or if you are that interested in what I'm working on, then I pretty much show like the process. So that's what I'll talk about to start off with. So yeah, I did a video yesterday showing how I did the layout for this sketch page, which can also serve as like a study for an illustration or sort of a sketchy illustration too. But yeah, I'll link to yesterday's video. And basically part of why I want to talk about art dissatisfaction is, so from yesterday's video, I started working on it, which I usually do like later, like after the video, like later on in the day. And in a way I approached it in the way that I normally do, sort of like in the standard kind of basic way. Like I had mentioned that I would look up some stuff just to get some ideas. So I was doing that. And the thing is, that's where like the idea of dissatisfaction comes in. So as I'm talking and like to get warmed up, I'm going to just kind of sketch. So these are the tools, basically these markers, paint markers, Sharpies is what I used yesterday. And I have like this felt tip. I'm going to see if the Sharpie will work. It may or may not. It might be running out, but it seems like it's working. Yeah, so it's working. So I'm just going to get warmed up and kind of roughly sketch, kind of get back some of the layout that I had. But that's leading up to the story here. But basically, so yeah, I was just kind of sketching and going off of the layout from yesterday's video, and that feeling of dissatisfaction is some of it, I mean, a lot of it is unconscious, if that's the correct term, or subconscious, like whatever, but not conscious. Like it's kind of just there, and it's sort of automatic. And the way it manifests is stuff like, one, boredom could be that, like, or just dissatisfaction. That's probably the most accurate term for it. But it's this feeling of like I could do things a certain way, but I'm just not satisfied with it. And I'm coming like to learn to accept that and to be okay with it. That's basically my point, is that for me it happens regularly, that feeling, but that's a different feeling than, like, there's a difference between dissatisfaction and disappointment. So that's why I'm not calling this video artistic disappointment, and I probably won't make a video called that, but I can talk about it for a little bit. But like, disappointment might be something like, I've mentioned how I've had to throw away my old work from since I was a kid. Stuff like that. Like, that's a disappointment. I wouldn't say that that's dissatisfaction. I mean, that's strong dissatisfaction. But dissatisfaction is kind of what happened here, where no matter what I was drawing, I was dissatisfied. And so so basically what I did was I just switched back and forth between the white paint marker and like the black paint marker, and I was just trying all sorts of things. and yeah, it just wasn't happening. And so the main feeling, I think, was dissatisfaction. Now, there have been times where I just felt angry, maybe even like a sense of despair, maybe even, yeah, like disappointment, like I was saying. And a lot of that is alleviated by just getting better at drawing. It makes up for a lot of that. But it doesn't make the dissatisfaction go away, because part of that is kind of like what happened here, where I didn't really know I was gonna draw this. So she's basically my OC, and I wasn't thinking I wanted to draw her, to draw this character. And that's part of like that unconscious thing too, where, I mean, sometimes the idea is I'm gonna draw like a specific character, but then sometimes it isn't. So yeah, that's just like the best way I can describe that feeling. It's just a sense of, so that's kind of how that worked. But then there's also this other thing of, like, where I'm at right now feels a little bit more like I'm more satisfied with the drawing. But it's short-lived. So I'm gonna want to keep drawing, because then once I get this, I think, okay, well, I could draw like another version of this, or I could draw like another picture, or I could just understand the process better and do it more effectively or efficiently. Now, maybe I could talk about effectiveness and efficiency, since I brought that up. I think that this is actually effective in the sense that I have a drawing and it taught me something, I mean, and I like it, and it gives me another look at the character, and also I can still use the composition, to make like an illustration. So it's effective, but maybe I could be more efficient about it, in the sense that maybe I learned sort of what worked or what didn't work. Although honestly, from yesterday's sketch, like if I look at it, if I were to look at it again, I would think it worked. Like there wasn't anything wrong with it. I think one thing that might be kind of was weird about it was maybe using like a Sharpie. But then again, using like a paint marker like this is pretty heavy-handed too. So it wasn't the fact that I was using a Sharpie necessarily, because I could have drawn this with a Sharpie. But someone left a comment, which I appreciate, talking about wanting to gain confidence by using something like a marker, which I'm using. I'm going back to this because I want to sort of integrate like the different elements here. Now that I have like this sort of sets the tone, I guess, for the rest of the picture. So I'm all for like the idea of having more confidence. I think it makes for a more interesting picture rather than something timid or something like restricted or like overly controlled, but like there has to be some element of control, otherwise it doesn't really work either. But yeah, like confidence is good, and it's good to kind of build that. But so that's 10 minutes. I'll start another one. So yeah, mainly my goal is to kind of integrate like this picture. The layout is okay, so you can see that the composition is still basically the same, although maybe like the style shifted, but I wasn't sure what style, and I wasn't sure what the characters, and I think that was like a big part of it, because I wasn't sure what they would look like. Now obviously I've drawn this character kind of a lot, so, but that's my other thing. I wasn't trying to do like a specific character. But yeah, I was saying that although it's good to be confident, it doesn't mean that you won't mess up, if you want to call it that, or do a picture where you're kind of dissatisfied with the result. So confidence doesn't fix your picture. But it lends itself to like the look of it and the feel of it, and also yeah, like the execution of it. And part of it is, so just going back to like the idea of like that triad of imagination, study, and style, it kind of, so the imagination part had to do with the fact that I was drawing and laying out this picture just from imagination, and so that's why it's imagination. And it can be really fun, but like imagination is not concerned with drawing correctly and stuff like that. That's kind of I mean, this is true of writing a book, for example. Like it sounds great in the imagination, because the imagination is fully realized. Like it has everything that that you're wanting to create. Like it's all it's all there, like ideal. However, there's the thing of style. So the style, for example, is the fact that there's a difference between using this. So I had mentioned yesterday how if I use this, it's pretty much going to dictate a lot of the look. So I'm not really going to use this brush right here. Like, I'm not really going to use it too much on the background because it makes it stand out more. And that's like a style thing. And part of that is just experimentation. I just like to see, because I like to see like different styles. So I like to explore that kind of thing. So that's part of like the style. And just like if I just use this marker, this Sharpie, like it has a look to it. So that's like the style part of it, which again, I could be drawing anything. I could be drawing, it doesn't have to be like this genre or this like idea. So I'm not sure if the Sharpie's running out or if it just doesn't like to be used on top of, I mean, it's kind of running out, but so that's like style. And then the study part has to do with the fact that, for example, I had to paint over stuff. I want to work on this area a little bit because that's what I painted over. I'm going to use this thinner pen, which I didn't use yesterday, but just to kind of fix some of these issues here. But yeah, so you can see like that's a stylistic thing. It has like a certain look to it. And I haven't made up my mind about like, it's going to be somebody here, but I'm not sure who. But yeah, as far as like the study part, that comes down to the skill basically. So I had to paint over it and had to like draw and like redraw the character until I had something that I liked. But going back to the idea of like the dissatisfaction, it's, yeah, like I'm never satisfied for very long. I guess it's kind of like eating, where you feel satisfied and you can enjoy it and you can enjoy eating, but then soon you'll get hungry again. And so yeah, I just wanted to talk about how, like, I mean, that's kind of a natural thing, and to kind of make a difference between disappointment versus dissatisfaction. Like, I would feel disappointed if like I didn't work on this and get it to a place where I felt satisfied. Like, I would feel disappointment. However, yeah, like I'm not satisfied for long. And so so things that I'm not satisfied would be stuff like, yeah, like I could be satisfied, but then I want to do more, which is a good thing. But then the other thing could be, I could do it better. Like, that's a kind of dissatisfaction. Also, it's also the, like the character itself, maybe I'm not satisfied, or like the style, I'm not satisfied. So what I mean by that is, like from yesterday, the sketch I had yesterday, it was like this, like I could draw something. So right now I'm not sure what character to make this, so I'm not gonna mess with it. But it wasn't an issue of whether I could draw like a character or just like a person, but it was like this exact like picture, which like it only came about through dissatisfaction, through this feeling of like it's not quite right. So one, I think it's kind of an interesting kind of thing, and yeah, feel free to kind of talk about that. I know I'm not alone. Like, I see people talking about it, but it's just like this ongoing thing. But it's a pursuit of. That's why it's an art. It's not a. I mean, the scientific thing, I suppose, is stuff like I can talk about the composition. I can talk about sort of the light and the shadow and like the proportion, or maybe even talk about like even style, like stylization or stylistic choices in a way can be distilled. But the art of it comes from that kind of feeling of satisfaction versus dissatisfaction. Because in a way, if you know that you are dissatisfied by something, and that could also be like when you look at something, whether it's your own work or other people's work, you could be looking and think like that's just not what you like. But by knowing that, it also helps you to know what you do like. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's really important to know that. Like, to know what you like and to know what you're wanting to create. Because dissatisfaction drives a lot of why I do what I do, like in the way that I do it. It's because I see things and I'm not satisfied with it. And it could be like a story, and that's a big part of why I want to write the story that I'm writing, is because I'm not satisfied with certain things. And it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate or like or even love certain things. I mean, I can love it and still feel like something's missing from it, or it could be done in my particular way. And so a big part of why I even learn certain things or develop certain skills is because I'm wanting to create the thing more to my satisfaction, basically. So that's another 10 minutes. I'll probably just kind of wrap this up. I kind of like keeping it a little bit shorter, although 20 minutes to 30 minutes is kind of the average. But yeah, I mean, hopefully that kind of got you thinking about like the idea of art dissatisfaction and how that can make you more creative and innovate and also want to develop art skills and stuff like that. But yeah, with that said, I want to thank you for joining me for today's daily sketching routine. Hopefully you return, and if you like these videos, please support the channel. I always appreciate it, and until next time, keep on sketching.